I said, no, he's eating sausage. He's eating meat. He's eating all sorts of animal food. It's only the dairy. And the doctor says, that doesn't make sense. So that's one thing you just say, okay, it worked. No sense or knowledge, but it worked.
Let's talk about the normal way that we actually receive medicine right now. Medical care is one-on-one, going to one doctor. You're huddled in a room with the doctor alone. You go through your 10, 15 minutes of questions. Then you go next time to the next doctor, huddled in a room alone with that doctor. Conventional wisdom, regular rule says that is the way to actually turn around your autoimmune disease. Okay. And I'm going to ask you, is that true?
Absolutely not. For me, anyway.
Yeah, I started my autoimmune journey at 18. I'm 24 now, so been on it for a while, and I was relatively young to get a diagnosis like that. And I remember sitting in the doctor's office with my mom and being told, you're going to be on medication forever. You're going to feel like this. Your joints are going to get worse. This is going to get bad. This is going to get bad. Accept it. Prepare for it. And I just didn't expect that I'd ever get to feel good again. Kind of was just bracing for things to get terrible. So it's been really great to do this and see that there's more than one option to try to actually feel better.
Well, but Grace brings up a really good point, which is what is the normal rule for the trajectory of autoimmune disease for people out in the regular medical world? The normal rule out there is, number one is your options are really limited. Take this medication or not, first of all. And the other thing is that it's an inevitable march to more symptoms, decline, and diagnoses. Just expect it. Is that true?
Very much.
That is true out in the conventional world, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What have you guys witnessed in the program, and what have you witnessed in your own health with this?
One of the things about being online is that you see other people and how they grow and how they change and how more active they become, how brighter their countenance is. I mean, it's really interesting.
Results don't lie. And I think one of the most important things is I always tell people, don't take my word for it. Actually talk to real people or experience with real people what their actual journey is. And I remember Karina even posting her photo, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks in the program. She had a before and she had an after, and she literally looked like she was 9 months pregnant. And literally, she said, I developed Penelope, and, big results. I remember Grace. I mean, can you talk a little bit about your digestion and just in the course of a couple of weeks, what happened to it?
Yeah. I mean, once we started to figure out the food piece and I made those changes, I mean, it was almost immediate. I went from bloated, feeling terrible, dreading eating my next meal because I didn't know what was going to set off this terrible stomach pain, to knowing what to eat, feeling good when I eat, and actually enjoying it again, and really haven't had problems since.
Grace, that's not supposed to happen to you with your autoimmune disease.
I know. It's supposed to be terrible forever.
I know. What the hell? Okay.
I found it was all on Facebook. It was my daughter actually that found this for her daughter, which you met yesterday. But her daughter says, ain't no way. I'm not going to go through all that. But then she talked to me, and my husband convinced me to try. And thank heavens he did, because my mind is just a bunch of fog. And when it comes to doing computers, it's not my forte, shall we say. So he was able to support me. He did, as you saw him, everywhere you turned around, he was right there, and did his test too, and turned out, luckily, that we did, because his food turned out that he's sensitive to dairy, got him off dairy, and his cholesterol and his sugar, although not real bad, went down. Mentioned it to the doctor the next visit, went down. Well, yeah. I said, well, we got him off of dairy. Well, that was because you got him off of animal food. I said, no, he's eating sausage. He's eating meat. He's eating all sorts of animal food. It's only the dairy. And the doctor says, that doesn't make sense. So that's one thing you just say, okay, it worked. No sense or knowledge, but it worked. So yeah, without him, I wouldn't have been here.
He only removed one of his food sensitivity, which was his main food sensitivity was dairy, which he found using data program. And that dropped cholesterol like crazy. Yes. Do you know food sensitivities can severely affect cardiovascular health, not just autoimmunity? Bingo, Charlie will tell you.
So without him, I wouldn't be here. And if I hadn't been here, he would have had other issues too down the line. So it all worked.
So you mean you saved his ass? You're like, I wouldn't say that. Yeah, essentially. Question for you guys. What is something that you heard me say That's the opposite of all the other doctor stuff that you've ever heard. That worked.
Drink more water.
Hell yeah. Mm-hmm.
Drink more water.
And I'm going to give you a
tell
formula.
everybody, I tell them all, dilution is the solution.
Dilution is the solution. That is true.
Well, I've had many doctors tell me that food has nothing to do with my RA, that it does not help with inflammation at all, that I could go on whatever crazy diet I want, and if it makes you feel good, but that it would not, that's what they said. Another crazy.
Well, you on another crazy diet?
Yeah.
Not knowing that it really was making a huge difference.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, a friend of mine was talking to me today. He says it's rash that since he went on surgery, and I said, listen, you may not be allergic to something, but you can have an intolerance to this. And I was almost repeating what you were saying to somebody else, because they don't get it.
It's like, Brian, I just thought it was herpes, man. Stop talking to me. And you're going around, you're like, everybody's like looking at their crotch, and you're like, it's
I was going to say that what amazes me personally with my experience is that I've been at the RA doctor twice. Once in January and once in April after we started the program. Well, actually 3 times, but these last 2 times where my tests were amazing. And why wouldn't he say something? Like, what are you doing differently? Because he knows I was doing things differently, right? Why didn't you recognize it to say, wow, whatever you're doing, it's working? Why? Next time I go see him, I'm just going to put him on the spot. I'm going to say, okay, doc, why don't you say something about this? Because it's true. I am living proof of it.
If you haven't watched Eurovision, you will after this, because Orsi is the elves. It's the elves. But I think to be fair with that, Orsi, I think the thing is they don't know what they don't know. And I think that's not just doctors, that's everybody, right? If you don't know, like we're trained as doctors, and I'm a family medicine doctor that trained in functional medicine after I got sick, right? So before I knew, I thought that the only way to deal with autoimmune disease is this medication. And if you're not going to take this medication, I really don't have anything else to help you.
Yeah, I can't help you.
Until I became that person that nobody could help, right? But at the same time, I remember being a family medicine doctor with no functional medicine training. People would be like, hey, doctor, what about this supplement for something? And I had no training, but I'd be like, there's no data around it, because what we learned was data from medication, right? And and we'd never even looked at any data from supplements, right? And so we'd be just like, oh, there's no data around it. Or we'd be like, oh, if it helps you, little lady, go ahead, keep taking it. Do whatever's working for you, right? All of it is actually based on ignorance. And actually, it's ignorance, but we don't know what we don't know. So, and it took, Orsi, to be fair, it took a lot of money, time, and 10, 15 years of my life to get this education to be able to teach it. And that's not funded by any pharmaceutical company or whatever. This is all on my own pocket, my own time, because I got sick. And until you're the doctor or you're the person that got sick, why the heck would you make that effort to look into all those other tools that are different?
And I find that, you saying that they don't know better, that they're not telling us, to not want to do well for us, but that they truly don't know. And that's been huge for me, because I feel very empowered going to my doctors now and knowing that, to me, they are not the end all be all, and I will be able to question. And, I was able to speak with my endocrinologist and get onto a drug, Cytomel, that they never even told me about. They didn't even do the same testing that we do. They don't even know the same testing that we do. You did it, and we found out that I had a conversion problem. And, now I have active T3 to help me, for 17 years, not one doctor was able to figure that, not one endocrinologist was able to figure it out. So that's amazing to me. It's actually scary to me, but it's amazing. And then recently I was at a doctor, totally different for another reason. And they had said, I had 4 choices first of all, right off the bat, when she said I have 4 choices on how to remedy something, I was thinking she obviously doesn't know me, because there's always one other choice that I don't need to take any of your 4 choices. And, I can look into a different path. So it was actually quite funny, because I felt like she was trying to be a little intimidating and it wasn't going to happen. And until this program, I don't think I've ever would have walked into a doctor's office and felt that way. I would have been like, okay, or maybe let me think about it. But never the option would have been that none of those are the choices that I'm going to go with. So I feel very empowered by learning how to read my labs and advocate for myself, and knowing that they are not the end all be all, that they're not looking to hurt me. They just don't always know everything.
That's actually rule number one of Fight Club. Okay, so rule number 1 of conventional medicine is the doctor is the be all end all, and number 1, they're not. Number 2 rule is that the solutions they offer are your only solutions. That's not true. That is so not true. When you told me 4 choices, you know what Dr. Maggie was saying about that? I would be like, there's hundreds of other options out there. Just you wait.